Hello everyone, my name is Rebecca. Let's talk about makeup. So today I'm doing my December roundup where I take a look at all of the empties I accumulated during the month of December along with all of the new things that entered my collection during that time. So we only have a few things to go over here, but a couple of them I'm pretty excited about. So let's look at my empties first. I do have a couple of these things you will have already seen if you watched my 24 and 24 finale, and I also have a couple spoilers for my 50 Shades of Brown project pan. Now these wouldn't be spoilers if I had actually filmed my December update for my 50 Shades Brown, but listen, I don't know about you guys, but December is pretty wild around here, so we're doing what we can do, and we're starting fresh in the new year. So the first thing I have to show you is one of those 50 Shades of Brown spoilers, and it is my Gerard Day setting spray. This is in the scent Coconut, which is how I justified rolling it into my 50 Shades of Brown project pan, because coconuts are brown, right? I actually really ended up enjoying this. My normal everyday setting spray is the Sephora All Day Setting Spray, which I feel like is a pretty decent daily setting spray for me. I feel like it's only in the very middle of summer when my oil production is wild and I'm having a lot of trouble keeping makeup on my face. That's the only time I feel like the Sephora doesn't quite cut it. At the same time, things like the Urban Decay All Nighter or the Charlotte Tilbury setting spray or the One Size setting spray, those are more like event setting sprays for me. There's the sort of thing that I'm gonna save for a once in a while type of thing, not a daily use. The Gerard, I feel like, landed somewhere in the middle. It was definitely a little bit more effective than the Sephora at keeping the makeup on my skin. It was really did come in clutch during the summertime, but it's not nearly quite so as the Urban Decay All Nighter or the two other that I mentioned. So I was a little sad when I finished it up and had to go back to the Sephora. Really did enjoy this. Glad I was able to get it done. I also managed to finish two eyeliners. I only have one here to show you because I don't know what happened to the other one. This is the Physicians Formula Eye Booster in the shade Black. I also have one of these in the shade Brown that I completed. That was also part of my 50 Shades of Brown project pan. It looks exactly like this, except the band here is brown instead of black. Now these eye boosters are a beautiful brush tip eyeliner. I'm still actually getting a fair amount of product out of this one here, but the tip is starting to fray a little bit at the end. It's starting to get a little bit harder to be really precise. It's not quite as opaque as it used to be, and it is much older than it should be for a product that I'm putting around my eyes. So it really does need to leave my collection. I have found that to be common with the Physicians Formula eye boosters that I've used, and I've used up, I want to say, about 4 of these. They just keep going, which is on the one hand a little bit frustrating, but also kind of nice. I don't have to deal with a lot of dried up product and I don't really have to struggle with it too much, even at the end of its lifespan. I did get a ton of use out of this one and the brown one, so I'm perfectly happy calling both of those empties. So here's one you may have seen from my 24 and 24. This is my Milk Makeup Cush Fiber Brow Gel in the shade Cypher. This is a black shade. I have been working on this for most of the year. I don't tend to wear a ton of brow gel simply because as long as I'm respecting the natural shape of my eyebrows and I'm not getting too creative, they tend to be pretty well behaved. This one was more useful to me in helping remove any cast that ended up in my eyebrows through sunscreen use or from base product or anything like that, instead of having to risk going in there with my cellar water or whatever to remove the cast, because my eyebrows naturally are very dark, so they tend to show any product residue that ends up in there. I could just go through them with this brow gel. And yeah, it was very useful to me in that regard. I don't know if it's 100% essential in my routine, however. We'll see how it goes as soon as summer rolls around and there's just a lot more sunscreen use happening and more reapplication and that sort of thing. I may change my mind then, but as for now, I don't have any plans to repurchase this. So the most exciting empty as far as I'm concerned, also from my 24 and 24, this is my Huda Beauty Faux Filter Concealer in the shade Coconut Flakes 2.7N. I finally finished it. I finished it on December 30th with 1 day left to go for my 24 and 24. And to be perfectly honest, I wasn't sure I was going to make it. I have been working on this pretty steadily since I purchased it in November of 2022. So this lasted me a good long time, but it wasn't until I think it was about 6 weeks ago that I started to be able to actually see any visible progress. So I didn't know if we were going to make it. There was no windowing. I think the formula really clings to the inside of this tube and makes it really difficult to see where you were. I couldn't even hold it up to the light and determine where my progress was. But as you can see, I went in there with a spatula. I got out as much product as I could. And yeah, she is empty. I am so pleased with this concealer. As it stands, this is my favorite concealer of all time. If you saw my inventory video, where I went through my concealers, you know I have a lot to work on. I have a lot to work on right now. I just purchased the new Natasha Denona High Glam Concealer that was in my November Roundup. And so yeah, I have a lot of concealer to work on before I can repurchase one of these, but I almost certainly will, just because I really did enjoy it so much. So those were my empties for the month of December. I only have 3 things that entered my collection during that same time. I didn't actually end up getting any makeup for Christmas, which is okay. I was spoiled completely in other ways. Do you see right here? My husband purchased that for me. That is my Keurig Express. When I unwrapped it, I was a little bit surprised, but I have enjoyed it so much since I got it. It is so nice. 30 seconds, and I have a cup of tea at the perfect temperature. I actually have it up here because there's nowhere else in my house that my 2-year-old isn't going to be able to get access to it. There's no way to lock it. And the last thing I need is my 2-year-old to have the ability to press a button and dispense 12 ounces of hot water on command. That's just, I don't need that kind of complication in my life. So it's sitting up there. I'm very pleased with that Christmas present. But yeah, no makeup this year. However, I did treat myself to something. This is the Natasha Denona Mini Eye Sculpt Palette. I picked this up I think it was the day that it was released, maybe the day after that it was released, which is pretty unusual for me. But I actually have a video up on my channel with this palette where I try it on for the first time. I do some swatches, do some comparisons, and 3 separate eye looks. If you want to check that out, I will link it for you. But yeah, I have been wearing this and really enjoying it since then. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on that topic, I will have that video linked below. And then, speaking of the Gerard Slay All Day, so when I finished this, I really was feeling kind of very sad to not have it anymore. And wouldn't you know it, Amazon kindly notified me that it was on sale. So I think I picked this up for about $14, which is about $6 more than I paid for this bottle, but I believe that the regular price is about $20. So I still consider this a pretty good deal. It's roughly on par with what I would pay for the Sephora All Day Setting Spray. But yeah, I'm really excited to have this back in my life. The last thing I purchased, now there's a little bit of a story behind this one. So back in the early, I want to say it was in 2000, I think it was 2004 or 2005, I opened up a catalog from Sephora because we used to get those, right? And I was greeted by the most amazing scent I'd ever smelled in my entire life. And it was the Maybe Baby perfume by Benefit. I love this scent so much that my husband got me a full-size bottle. I still actually have some perfume in here because, as I've discussed with you before, once I start to get to the bottom of something I really love, I have trouble finishing it. Now, of course, this is a very old bottle at this point, so the smell has gone completely off. It's definitely expired. Unfortunately, I didn't do the smart thing and get my hands on a fresh bottle, and then Benefit went and discontinued the scent. I actually think they discontinued it twice. They discontinued it, brought it back, and then a couple of years ago, they discontinued it again. This time, apparently for good. And I have been sad about it ever since, and I've never been able to find anything quite like it, although I have done plenty of searching. Well, I did some digging on Reddit and I came across the name of a seller online who creates and sells handmade fragrances that are kind of in the style of discontinued products. I don't know that discontinued fragrances are the only thing that she does, but she does make Maybe Baby. So this is a little roller ball. It's a fragrance oil. I personally prefer things that you can spray over a roller ball, but I'll take what I can get because it's not exact. It's not 100%, but I would say this is 98% Maybe Baby. So her name is Scents by Daisy. She sells through eBay. Really, really friendly seller, fast shipping, and I can't tell you how thrilled I am to have this scent back in my life again. I think this cost me about $15 for a third of an ounce, and I don't know how fast I'm going to blaze through this, but I would definitely be getting more when it is done. Just so pleased to have found this. So I didn't thoroughly peruse her catalog because I was so hyper focused on Maybe Baby. But if there's a fragrance that you're searching for that is no longer available, I'm going to go ahead and link Daisy's storefront in the description box below, and you can check it out and see if she has got an interpretation of that fragrance, because I am so happy with this. So those are all of my empties and everything came into my collection during the month of December. Thank you so much for spending this time with me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.